Morning, lovely viewer. Well, I'm not proud of this. I want to talk about this rose here predominantly, but there's many things going on that's wrong with this rose, or should I say my treatment of it. This is Septidile and it's in its third year, and whilst there's many things going on that's wrong with this, I know that this rose has been overfed. Unbelievable, I know, but I'm putting my hands up. But there's many things going wrong. This pot is too small. I've put a mug there so you get like a size comparison if you like. It's in its third year. The pot's too small and there needs to be more soil within this pot to at least make up for the fact that it is in a smaller pot. Now, when I buy these roses, I will often put them in pots this sort of size or similar with the intention of 2 or 3 years down the line, if I like the rose, I will plant it in the ground. But the problem is, a few years down the line, of course, there's no room in the ground to plant these roses. And these roses, they get left in these undersized sort of pots. Now, this particular rose, I have looked at the root ball, and believe it or not, it is not root bound. It's not root bound. I know that now that I've definitely overfed this rose. Now, first of all, the signs that this rose has been overfed. Well, in fact, first of all, I don't know if you remember, a few years ago, I didn't feed. It was an experiment. I didn't feed any of my roses. I mulched them all, but I didn't actually feed any of my roses, potted or the ones in the ground. And I noticed early on in the season that my potted roses were doing something similar to this. You see, microscopic growth. You see, I've cut all these stems back, but you see that? And this was a sign that I got of lacking in nutrients, this microscopic, tiny sort of growth. I identified that early on that season, and I fed my roses and they immediately responded. I fed them the correct amount and they immediately responded with stronger growth. But I know I fed this rose, so I know it's not a case of underfeeding. But I've got the same symptoms you see here. This microscopic growth, the flowers, tiny. And I read that underfeeding and overfeeding can lead to this anemic sort of growth. And that is what we are seeing here. I've cut this back twice. It was much taller. But how the hell could I have done this? Well, I think it's something that, well, I definitely got sucked into it. I definitely got sucked into it. Looking after these roses, I mean, overfeeding as well, it can be, disease sets in, the roots get burnt and disease can set in, like fungal infections can set in. Or you can get this minuscule sort of growth, anemic growth. So underfeeding or overfeeding, lack of nutrients or too many, the signs and symptoms can be the same. But I know I fed this. But I know now that I overfed it. And I'm going to tell you how this happened, because I think it's something that is easier done than we like to admit. Now, looking after these container roses, it should be easy. It should be straightforward. We get rid of the old organic mulch. We get rid of the top 2 or 3 inches, 4 inches of soil within the containers. And then we put in fresh soil, 3 or 4 inches of fresh soil. And we put in fresh organic mulch. We feed, we prune, we do these things. It should be straightforward. And it is something that shouldn't have taken a huge amount of time. But I am guilty of not making time. What I didn't do was I kept putting things off for tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. We've got all winter to do it, but I just kept putting things off for tomorrow. And as time passed, time ran out. I didn't make time. And what I didn't do was replace the top 3 or 4 inches of topsoil. And my mind frame then, my thought process was that I could make up for it by putting the fresh mulch down and giving it a bit of extra food. that'll make up for it. Just give it a bit of that extra sort of granular feed. And that rose there in particular, when you read the instructions, you know, I was growing that, believe it or not, as a short climber. And the instructions will tell you, climbing roses, give a bit more. And that is what I've done. And I'll be lucky if that rose there survives, and that is me being honest. But I think it's something that I've done with all of my container roses this year, whilst my roses in the ground are doing very well this year. I think my roses in the ground, I gave them the right amount of food, they got mulched and they got everything else. This is Gertrude in my back garden, and the one in the back garden is and has always been very healthy. Miraculous, I know. I've got a Gertrude in the front garden, maybe 60 feet away, that is always unhealthy. But this Gertrude here, it's 5 years old now, and I don't get black spot on this rose until at least October, when it's autumnal, if not later, dependent on the year. But I've never had black spot on this rose in the summer. So I know my roses in the ground are doing well, but cardinal sin, even these roses here, I think I overfed. We get lulled into it, or at least I did. I won't speak for anyone else, but I did. I got lulled into this. And what I've done with regards to these roses, all of these pots here and the ones over there everywhere, they've all got good drainage. What I've done was, once I realised that I had overfed, even these roses, not as bad, but these roses probably had that little bit too much, I flushed them through. I put the hose in and I just kept on drenching them again and again and again and again, flushing them through. This granular feed, they say it's slow release. I should have known better, because another experiment I'd done, I don't know if you remember, but I was given a mislabeled rose. I bought a rose that was mislabeled. So in its small pot, I took some of the granular feed, several handfuls, 3 handfuls at least, and I put that granular feed into the rose, and slow release or not, that rose was dead within a few weeks, I think. It was dead within a few weeks. I think what happens is the sun, it hits these pots heat up, and then when we water these pots, that water sort of activates the feed along with the heat. And remember, these pots, they get hot in the sun. That's a massive dose of feed. If you read any instruction at all with regards to that granular feed, it will even tell you, use 2/3 less. For roses in pots, containers, use 2/3 less, or maybe a half less, dependent on the actual feed. But I still got sucked in. Give it 2/3 less than the feed that we put for our roses in the ground. I still got sucked in with this. Give it a bit more. Just give it a bit more. And that, what you see there is what I've done. But my roses in the ground, I'm very happy with. Very, very happy with. Thankfully, these are all doing well, but they're in the ground. So that feed, I gave them the right amount of food, and I'm very pleased with these. But I'm just putting my hands up to my mistakes when I set up this YouTube channel. I did say I'll bring you my finest moments as well as my moments that aren't so fine, and that is what I've done. Now, with regards to, and another thing that I think is easy to lull us into this false sense of security is, we see these magnificent container roses from around the world. I've got a smell of this one. Beautiful. And you know, people, they say they're container roses, they give regular feed, and that is what's needed. These container roses, they need our help. There's no worms weaving their magic inside these pots, microorganisms helping us put nutrients into the soil. These container roses, they are relying on our help. And we see people, they feed their roses regularly. And I think that is vital. These container roses, they do need regular feed, but still at the right quantity. And I think organic feed, liquid feed, that is what I'm going to do next year. Because when it comes to organic feed, it's much more difficult. In fact, I'm not even sure it's possible to overfeed with this organic sort of liquid feed. And I say that, I'm not sure if that is accurate, but I know that I've done another experiment at the same time as I overfed that other potted rose. I put in a massive dose of liquid seaweed, massive concentration, and the rose, it did not die, and it had no signs. I don't suppose it done it any good. I'm not suggesting you do that, but I didn't see any sort of negative aspects. I've got to have a smell of this. This is a good medium. The reason why I'm showing you this rose is, yeah, still a good medium. It's early and it's hot. This is Rose Kiss Me Kate. And I've said before, it's a rose that for me is like a love-hate relationship. For me, in my garden at least, I know some people have got it and they swear by it. For me in my garden, it's been a little bit stingy. But again, it's in a small pot, and to a certain extent, that is to be expected. Now, I've lost my train of thought now. So yeah, these all got flushed through, and I think that these roses here are now responding. I think they're responding well. I think the heat as well. The weather's getting a bit hotter. But these roses here, they all got flushed repeatedly several times. No more feed was added, of course. And what we're seeing is some decent, stronger growth now come up. The stems are coming up stronger. This one was doing okay for first flush, but again, the growth, it wasn't that strong. Initially, it's given me no sort of growth from the bottom this year. But this is Summer Romance, and this is responding much better. I don't think this was overfed as much. I think this was slightly overfed, these roses here. But now, especially now it's heating up as well, we're starting to see these thicker stems, these stronger stems come up from the rose. Look at that, beautiful. You have a smell. Yeah, it's fragrant. Summer Romance. So maybe it's just a mistake that I made, but maybe it's wider spread than what we think. Regular feed, yes, absolutely, to help these potted roses, but I think it's a fine line. You know, read the label. If you miss a job out, it doesn't matter. Do not put too much feed down, like I have done. Right, what am I going to leave you on? I'm going to leave you on. Oh, this is a difficult one. Oh, I'll tell you what, I'm going to leave you on Bliss Parfuma. And this is a rose. This rose here, it saw many days of plus 30 degree heat. It was 34 degrees yesterday. And this is just my Bliss Parfuma. And that flower there, and a couple of these other flowers as well, saw that plus 35 yesterday. But that is a beautiful flower. This rose is another one that is doing particularly well in my garden. So I'm going to leave you. Oh, I've got to have a smell. Oh, beautiful. Bliss Parfuma. Cracking rose. Right, lovely viewer. I hope you have a lovely day.